6, a helping hand with your land.
Hey guys, Neil from Messick's here. Excited today to take you out and show you a new RTV that we have set up here for our customer using the front attachments, using the new K-Connect system to be able to drive up and lock into a snowblower or a broom and make that utility vehicle do a little bit more work than just getting you around. So now when I go to approach the snowblower here and put an attachment onto this thing, you've got a bit of a conundrum because obviously you want the attachments really close to the machine, but in a piece of equipment like this, I have no clear visibility down to the mounting points. So a complex problem gets a simple solution. Kubota's mounted a mirror right over top of the attachment point here that I can actually look at the mirror and see where my hitch is at. So I can see and feel when I drop that hitch down to the ground and when I tap the ground. And then just as I approach the snowblower here, simply watch my hitch for the mating pins in this attachment point. And I'm just gonna creep up into here and see that I am way off and try it again. Let there be no smoke and mirrors here and people thinking that I am some kind of like practiced professional when it comes to these things. This is another one of those things that I have never done before. So I'm just simply watching my mirror to get underneath of this thing, creeping into it, and then lifting up, and holy cow, I got it. First time putting a snowblower on, guys. So now that I've grabbed this thing and picked it up, the attachment system here is very much like Kubota uses on the BX series tractors. It's the same Lovejoy coupler and attachment system. So I have a handle here on the back side of the quick coupler that I simply pull up, and that mates the PTO coupler together between the two pieces of equipment. And then I can reach back here, can't do this from the other side, and grab these two pins, pull these two spring-loaded pins back in order to lock the thing onto the hitch. Once I've done that, then I have hydraulic lines to hook up, so I can grab these 4 hydraulic hoses, and just like on any other piece of equipment, I can follow the different colors here to snap each one of these into their respective position. So you may have said to yourself here somewhere along the line, wait a minute, an RTV doesn't have a front PTO. And you'd be right. In this case, this is a fairly complex system for the attachment point here in the front and the drive boxes and stuff in order to get power out the front of this machine. Essentially what Kubota did was between the engine and transmission, they put in a gear case that drops a shaft out the bottom of the machine and comes here to the front. So this is a true engine-driven PTO. It's not a hydraulic-driven shaft or anything like that. What that is ensuring is that Kubota gets as much horsepower as possible out to this front implement. So you could drive these things a number of different ways, but none of them are going to be as efficient as a true drive shaft from the engine out to the front implement. So the controller here, so installing the hitch setup here gives us some additional buttons up here in the cab. The first 2 sets of buttons right here are going to be my hydraulic functions on the left-hand side of the machine, and the right ones here are going to be the raise and lower for the hitch. You'll notice the white one down here in the bottom, you can press down on the hitch and this button at the same time in order to engage a float function to allow our snowblower to float as we're driving along. The big yellow button up here is going to turn our PTO on and off, same kind of button that we would have on a big tractor. Just turn the dial and punch it in order to turn it on and off. Let's start this guy up and see how this works. So left and right here is going to spin us left and right, and that's quick. I mean, if you were making passes back and forth, that would be a quick change. Here's our up and down. Push these both together to go into float. And then these last 2 here are going to control our spout up and down. And it's interesting to me how you notice the difference in speed on those. Obviously some thought was put behind these so that when you're moving your spout, it moves in a very controlled fashion, versus when you do your left and right adjustment, it's really quick so that you have that efficiency as you're going past the pass. So I unfortunately don't have a nice snowy day to go out and run one of these things, right? But if we go kind of into our full-on simulation here, you know, we go and turn on our headlights, flip on our LED work lights here on the front, spin on the PTO for our snowblower, and let this thing go. In order to rev this up now, I have a hand throttle down here on my left-hand side. So normally in an RTV like this, you raise your engine RPMs by stepping on the pedal on the floor. Here I could dial this up by turning my hand throttle. Now just like a tractor, if I want to turn this off, I can just punch my button up here in the front and turn off my PTO. So that's a really slick little setup on how all these things work on a utility vehicle. One with heat and air conditioning, no less. And beacon lights and work lights. It is a amazing piece of equipment for a right application, right? Obviously this is not necessarily a hairy homeowner kind of thing, but if you've got a municipal application or a commercial application, this is a machine that you can be very productive and very comfortable while operating. So taking the attachment off here is really easy. I got a spring-loaded pin on my left and the right that hold this in, and then a lever here that I just rotate in order to pull back my PTO coupler. Once I've done those two things, I simply need to come around and unhook my 4 hydraulic hoses and then back away from my attachment. So taking these attachments on and off, we did learn some things about the sweeper that made it a little bit more difficult to get on and off than the snowblower. When you look at the mating surfaces of these attachments, the snowblower is very simple, right? You drive into it, you lock on. It doesn't have the same kind of articulation and stuff that the broom does. In the case of the broom here, because of that articulation, we had a little bit of trouble getting the mating coupler to line up here. And there's one simple thing that you could do that makes that a lot easier. Right down here on the side, there's a pin here for an articulation lock that lets this thing tilt left to right. Initially, when we were doing this, we had the articulation unlocked and our hitch always wanted to tip to the side. But by dropping that pin in then, it held that articulation in place and kept things much more lined up when we were trying to mate to them. You'll notice in the back of the sweeper here, there's a nice big sticker that gives you some directions telling you exactly how to mate this up. So while you drive right into the snowblower here, even the directions are recommending that you do a little bit of handwork on this. This stuff's not that heavy and was fairly easy to line up, but you do want to come up and get close to the thing, get the pins basically lined up, and then by hand roll this thing back onto the machine to mate up to it. So that's a little bit on the Kubota K-Connect system for the Kubota RTVs. If you're in the market for a piece of equipment or you need any parts or service for a machine that you already have, give us a call at Messick's. We're available at 800-222-3373 or online at messick's.com.